Maintaining lithium iron phosphate batteries is more expensive than maintaining lead acid battery, and here's why. Your lead acid battery requires you to top it from time to time with distilled water. When you have your electrolyte working in your lead acid battery, that is the liquid that is put inside your lead acid battery, over time it gives off the water inside of it, so you now need to top it with distilled water. In a similar way, assuming you are boiling salt water, the salt is not going to disappear from the water. It's only the water that will disappear. All you need to do to maintain the same concentration you had from the beginning is to add ordinary water. You don't need to add more salt to it. However, if there's a spillage of that salt water, if you want to maintain the same concentration, you now have to add salt water. So I don't want to dwell too much on this so that I will not get people confused. So the general gist is this: maintaining your lead acid battery requires you to top it with distilled water from time to time. Other consideration in terms of maintaining this is that you don't want to tip it in a way that the electrolyte inside will start pouring away, so it has to always be in an upright position. Another thing to consider is that when you are stacking them up, you don't want to put one on top of another in a way that you cannot top it when it's time to top it with distilled water. So these are the major things you do in terms of maintaining your lead acid battery. And of course, sometimes there are going to be spillages where you have to clean so that it will not affect the floor or where it is being put, maybe the material or the metal. So these are some of the things to consider when you are maintaining a lead acid battery. Now, these are pretty straightforward, but it goes beyond that, but that's not topic for today. So talking about the lithium iron phosphate battery, why it is more expensive. Your lithium iron phosphate battery, even though you are not going to be topping it from time to time, you are going to need it to operate in a way that nothing can go wrong. So let's talk about that. You need to get a system that manages your lithium iron phosphate battery so that the temperature will not go over a certain limit, up or down. That means over high temperature or under. And also the discharge, it should not discharge beyond a certain voltage, and it should not overcharge beyond a certain voltage. These are things that you need a system that will monitor it, and there are other things that the monitoring system does, but these are the basic ones. It makes sure it does not over discharge, overheat, or underheat, or under discharge. To get the system that makes it work perfectly, that means make sure every cell is working optimally in your battery, is called a BMS, battery management system. So the cost of getting that cannot be compared with the cost of adding distilled water to your batteries from time to time, and of course other factors that I mentioned earlier. But the good news is this: the cost of maintaining the lithium iron phosphate battery is not on the person that is buying the lithium iron phosphate battery. Everything has been installed inside the battery, so that way when you are buying the battery, you are buying the battery management system with it. You are paying for it upfront. So that's the difference. I know the title of the video confused us a bit, but that's how it works. If we were to be the ones monitoring our systems ourselves, that's the lithium iron phosphate system, at the end of the day, we'll be spending much more than we spend if we have lead acid battery. I hope that is clear. Adding to what I've already said, the reason why you are paying upfront, or why the battery management system has to be put in place, is that you cannot afford to make any mistake with lithium iron phosphate batteries. The cells on their own are very dangerous, so everything has to be in perfect order, let's put it that way. Now, think about a lithium iron phosphate battery. Your lithium iron phosphate battery is actually something like a fuel or a gas that is close to fire. As long as the fire does not get to the gas, no problems. As long as the fuel or the gasoline in your car does not get to your engine, that hot part that can ignite the gasoline, no problems. So that is what your battery management system does. It makes sure that those things that can trigger a fire or danger anything in your battery, it prevents them from happening. So a lithium iron phosphate battery cannot operate without the BMS. If you do, I'm sure if you've not browsed about fire of lithium iron phosphate battery, you can browse about it. It's an explosion. It's not just a fire outbreak. It's an explosion that is almost impossible to extinguish. It's something to note at the back of your mind. The reason why I'm saying all this is that as much as your lithium iron phosphate battery looks good and everything is just looking like wow, very, very beautiful, it is also dangerous if you want to tamper with anything. So if you have any problems with your lithium iron phosphate battery, don't attempt to open or do anything, because if anything goes wrong, an explosion is waiting to happen. And the bigger the battery, the bigger the explosion. So this is not to scare you, it's to let you know that you have to follow the manufacturer's recommendation for your battery. Very important. If you don't know how to follow it, whoever installed it for you, make sure from time to time, anything, maybe loose wiring or anything about lithium, you have to be extra careful, because if anything goes wrong, it is not a good story. So that's the much I can say about it. Altogether, your lead acid battery, while the maintenance is left in your hands to do, the maintenance of the lithium iron phosphate battery has been taken care of by the manufacturers, which you have paid for upfront. If not, it is actually more expensive to maintain your lithium iron phosphate battery when you look at what it takes to maintain it. So see you guys on Capture on the next one.